everyone, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about blood-like magic, and first I'd like to apologize if this review isn't up to par with all my previous reviews. Usually my review process goes, I read a book, I take a day or two to mull over it, and then I handwrite my review, type my review, and then I'll either record or do the podcast first. Haven't had a lot of time to do my whole process. Unfortunately, it's like once I'm done reading a book, then I have to, not a lot of time is offered to me when I'm a full-time mom and I have a full-time job. So, I do apologize. I feel like lately my reviews have become a little rushed, or they've seemed not as well thought out as they usually do, and I just wanted to say, that's probably why. I haven't had a lot of time to really get my thoughts all on paper. Now, that being said, let's get into it. So Blood Like Magic, it is a debut. It is a urban fantasy for young adult readers, and I have to say I was really just my breath was taken away by this novel. She does offer content warnings, the author, and I think that those content warnings are important because she does depict some scenes of slavery, including whipping. They are uncomfortable to read, and that's good. It's good that they're uncomfortable to read. I think the moment when scenes like that stop being uncomfortable for the reader, then alarms needs to go off, because I don't think we should forget the atrocities done in the past. If we don't learn from the past, then we're doomed to repeat it. And to be perfectly honest, society still has not moved away from racism or this idea of white supremacy. And I say that as a light-skinned Mexican. I'm very aware, or at least I try to be aware of the privileges. I tell everyone I meet, yeah, I'm 100% Mexican. Soy un mala mexicana porque because I don't speak Spanish, not very well, unfortunately. But I'm trying to remedy that with my son. So, I'm aware, or at least I try to be aware of the privileges offered to me by my light skin tone. I think we should just continue to strive to be more aware of the injustices that are going on today, even. Racial injustice, injustice based on sexuality, on, how your gender, your orientation, and I think this novel, it takes place, it's semi-futuristic almost, and even those injustices like racism, even subtle racism, are going on. Are we going to be able to eradicate it 100%? No, I don't think so, not anytime soon, but I think if we strive for that, then maybe, in the future we will. And I like that the author really does highlight these injustices. So there are content warnings, and I think they're important, these content warnings. And she does have a lot of subtle racism in her story. It's subtle. They are subtle, but you pick them up. And I think that that's very powerful for her storytelling, because she's telling a story of Voya, who is a African American witch. She gets her calling, and she's given a task by her ancestors. That's when we see the scene, right? The task is to destroy someone she loves. Destroy her first love. Right? Now, everyone in her family tends to look down on Voya because she's, as they say, indecisive. But that's really her strongest trait, because her indecisiveness, her question of why can't I have both, it really does offer her a unique perspective. She's always looking for more creative ways in order to do situations, and it really does help her in the end with passing her task. Because if she doesn't pass the task, not only does her family lose their magic, see, that I think everyone would be okay with. Her younger half sister, who almost died when she was born, she's only alive because of the magic. So if the magic goes, then, her younger half-sister is going to die. So this really puts Voya in a bind. She has to destroy someone completely innocent, in order to save her little sister. And her family, they do look down at her. They're like, oh, she's not going to be able to do it. She's not strong enough, blah, blah, blah. No, I think she is the strongest character. And her indecisiveness, I don't think it is indecisiveness. I think it's a unique perspective that offers her a chance to look at alternate and creative ways to solve problems. Sorry, I'm like super, I think I might be catching my son's cold. But it's really engaging to see the story come alive in that way. And that's what I did like about the story. That's what I did take away from it. I loved the characterization and the strength of the characters. And I love how diverse it is. You've got African Americans. There is Asian representation. There's Hispanic representation. There's transgender representation. LGBTQ representation. It's very diverse as far as the story goes. And I like that because the world we live in is diverse. I think we take that for granted, but when we read a lot of literature, and and I say this, it's not a bad thing. People write what they know, and I say this as, a reader, an avid reader. I read a lot. Surprise, surprise. I don't see a lot of diversity in this way. Sure, I'll read books by African Americans, and the whole cast would generally just be African American. That's great. I read, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I read books by Asian authors, and then it's, the whole cast, the majority of the main cast is Asian. Again, people write what they know. You write what your culture is, Hispanic authors, same thing. Most of the cast is Hispanic. That's not bad. I'm just pointing out the difference and why I thought this story itself was really powerful. Yes, the main cast of characters, they're all African American, but there are Hispanics. Luke is Hispanic. I think he was Mexican. See, this is why I like to write things down, because at least then it's in my notes. And I'm Mexican, so woo. And he is also transgender. I think that's really great. One of her cousins is also transgender. One of her friends is part of the LGBTQ community. It's very powerful and it's very impactful to see such a diverse cast of characters come to life. And that's what I like. And that's what sets it apart from a lot of other young adult urban fantasies. How impactful it is. How wonderfully written the story is. Ultimately, I loved it. I think it was great. I thought it was great anyway. And I do love the storytelling. I do love that she's caught in this bind, and I think one of the messages in the story for me, one of the takeaways is, like I said, if you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it. Well, Voya herself is trying to uncover some secrets of the past that unfortunately have put her in this position. It's just like, you all thought hiding this was a good decision. But guess what? It just put our lives in even more jeopardy. They didn't learn from the past. They thought, oh, we'll keep this one secret. We'll keep this, and then bam, as Voya is uncovering it, it's just all coming back to life. You know, hiding the past isn't going to prevent the mistakes from happening. It just ended up putting her family in even more danger. And it's why Voya was given the test she was given. And I like that takeaway. You know, I like the takeaway from that. The book is about your ancestors. It's about learning from the past. Do I wish every day that I could go back in time and undo half the shit I did? Yes. But I don't think I would take that wish, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't, you know, messed up royally in my past. I don't think I would have met my husband, you know, if I hadn't met the people I wish I hadn't met. You know, it's just like everything leads up to the now. And it's up to us to do what we can to make our lives good, you know? So we can look at the past and learn from it. Just learn from it. We don't have to like it. God knows we don't have to like it. But we should learn from it. And that's what Voya is doing in this story. She's looking at the past. She's learning from it so that she can be a better leader for her community, because her community is also fractured, and the novel is also about community. It's about these prejudices that are in place based on impure witches and pure witches. There are prejudices there, and Voya is all about, like, no, we shouldn't have these prejudices separate us. We should come together as a community so that we can stand together. And I like that message, because I think a lot of times in society, you know, if you're part of, I mean, this is how gang wars start. You know, you're part of one group and you have prejudices against another group, and, you know, just go away with all that, you know, nonsense. I don't think we have to agree on everything. God knows in the book, Voya and her family, they don't always agree, but they respect one another, or at least they grow to respect Voya, because again, they don't really respect her to begin with. And they come together as a family to unify themselves as a family. And Voya's goal in the end is to unify her community. She's learned from the past, and now she wants to take what she's learned to build a better future. And I love that's a powerful message in this story. I think there's a lot of realism in the story. I think it's very relatable. I think it's very powerful and impactful. But again, there are content warnings offered in the book, but I think we should all read it anyway, because it's so good. And the second book is coming out soon, so I'm really excited about that. So yeah, it was a really good book. I thought, for me, I thought it was very impactful. I found it to be really relatable. I found it to be really realistic. I love the witchiness part of it as a kitchen witch. Yeah, I'm a bruja. But, highly recommend. So, if you're going to read Blood by Witches, I do give the book 4 out of 5 stars. Please remember to purchase the book from your local bookstore or online book retailer. All I ask is that you support your local bookseller versus going off of your Amazon. There's bookshop.org and barnesandnoble.com. Bookshop.org will donate proceeds to a local independently owned bookstore nearest you, and you can even go visit that bookstore if it's not too far. And then Barnes & Noble. I get a lot of customers that were saying, oh, there's no Barnes & Noble near me. It's just like, but you can still shop on barnesandnoble.com. They do ship across the country and internationally, I discovered. And for international people, there's Book Depository. If money is really tight, please check the book out from your local library. And on that note, I hope you all will continue to support me here by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.